Hello to everyone. Thank you for joining me to this Tech Talk. Today I'm going to talk about Flutter, an hybrid mobile framework. My name is Sebastián Marcelo, but you can call me Marcelo, okay? So in this presentation, I would like to talk about my experience. I have aged almost 9 years developing in Java. 2 of those years I was developing in Android devices, and the other years developing Java in general using different frameworks. So the thing is, my first job was a startup, and we were 4 guys in that crew. The CEO, I was the Android developer, the graphic design, and the iOS developer. So for a startup, probably they don't have a lot of money and they don't have a lot of time to develop an application. So that in that startup, we was developing a mobile application. So we were 2 developers, the Android and the iOS developer. So it's very important to develop the application faster because they don't the team don't have a lot of money for payment, So in that time, it will be a very good solution to have only one developer in order to develop one application for 2 environments. So in this case, you reduce the cost and reduce the time of the developing. In that example, we have the CEO, the hybrid developer. That in that case, we can use a different technology, but let's guess this is a Flutter developer. And of course, we have the graphic design. So the question is, what is Flutter? Okay, Flutter is a free and open source mobile UI framework. It was created by Google, and it provides a fast and expensive way for developers to build native applications in both iOS and Android, as I mentioned before. Flutter uses as a main language Dart and use something called widget in order to build the application. I will explain later what is Dart and what is widget, okay? What widget does mean. Another important feature that we can find in Flutter is it has an amazing Firebase integration. But what is Firebase? In simple words, is backend as a service. This Firebase is a tool from Google, and it provides a lot of tools that you can use for developing your application. It has a real-time database where streaming data and WebSocket connection. We have the I'm sorry. It has a file storage using Google Cloud Storage directly from the client. So basically, we are connecting our mobile devices directly with the cloud, with the Google Cloud. Okay. It provides an authentication. It supports OAuth 2 for Google, Facebook, Twitter, and GitHub. We have notification. We have analytics. We have a lot of tools that we can use in our application. So this Firebase was thinking to use it directly in mobiles. So continue with the presentation. What is Dart? Dart is a client-optimized programming language for application on multiple platforms. It's developed by Google and is used to build mobile, desktop, server, and web application. Okay, Dart is an object-oriented, class-based, and garbage-collected language with C-style syntax. The cool thing about Dart is it can compile to either native code or JavaScript. So when we create a Flutter project, the result, the final result, the deployment application, the API, the compressed file application is using the native code. It's using the native code. Okay, so we are that is cool because we are not creating a web view where we are calling I don't know, an HTML that is and it could be the application. No, we are using the native code of that environment. Okay, so continue with the presentation. What is widget? Okay, Flutter widget is just a class with argument. We can see the widget as a Lego pieces. You can put one pieces over another, and over another, and that is awesome because everything in Flutter is a widget, so you can use that widget. Even probably even your custom class could be a widget. So the cool thing about this, Flutter already provides a lot of widgets that you can use. In the middle, we have the Lego pieces, and Flutter provides an add bar widget. So when you use that add bar, Flutter automatically is going to set the add bar on top in your mobile. You don't have to say it, hey, I need to put this here. No, you just use it, and Flutter know what to do. We can find a lot of widgets like image, text, and button. In this example, you can see the add bar widget, and it has an attribute which receive a widget, the text. And when we use the add bar with that text, we are going to generate a beautiful add bar on top. That is automatically. And the other example, we have a floating action button. If you use it, you are creating a button on button. You can define the action in onPress attribute, and child attribute is receiving another widget. In that example, is using icon, that is a widget that is used for add an icon. Okay. You can see here the add bar, the class, okay, in the left, with the attribute title, is consuming a text class that is a widget. We have the constructor, and in the middle you can find the text class with an attribute called message with his constructor. Okay, is that simple? In Flutter, we have to understand these things. There are two kinds of widget. The stateless widget, you can use it when a property never changes for a static value. For example, a button. A button never changes his value, or depend on the context, but in a simple way, never change. And the other side, we have the stateful widget. It uses that you can change the different property of your widget. It's used to refresh, update, and change the status of your application. Even the layout. Okay. In that, we can use, for example, list view. Probably you are interested in add a new element, remove an element. So that widget changes his state. In that particular example, we have to use the stateful widget. Okay. As I mentioned before, Flutter already provides different widgets that you can use. In that example, we have the scaffold. It's kind of parent widget where inside you can put different widgets to custom your application. So a scaffold has the add bar. When you define the add bar, Flutter is going to create on top the add bar. Okay. The tab bar is going to set it in the bottom. And inside, in the body, we have a custom container, which is like a div on HTML, okay? And of course, you can add more widget inside of that widget. Another important thing that we have in Flutter is about the tree. Everything here is a tree. Flutter know about the status of the different widget or the different layout using a tree. Flutter provides something called context. So if you change, let's guess we define a text in the app bar, and we would like to change it in other displays, for example, we can do it and automatically, but we have to notify the context that we already changed that we have changed the status of the other widget, and Flutter automatically is going to refresh that. So that keep in mind, because this is very important for advanced application. Okay. Let's talk about today. We are going to show you how to develop a simple application using Flutter. We are going to create an application where a number is going to get increased. Okay, just press a button. It's going to be very simple. Okay. So of course you have to go to download the Flutter SDK. You can do that going to the Flutter web page. You have to choose your operating system. You can download or clone, but you have to define the path in your machine. Okay. This is for Macintosh only. You have to, if you want to deploy your application in iOS, you have to download the Xcode, and you have to create an emulator. Okay. If you want to deploy your application in Android, you have to download the Android Studio in order to create a virtual devices. Okay. Of course, you can use different IDE for development. You can use Android Studio, IntelliJ, or Visual Studio. For this presentation, I'm going to use the Visual Studio. Okay. So let's go into the development. I'm going to use the Visual Studio. Okay. But before of that, I'm going to start the Android Studio. I'm going to show you how to create a devices. Okay. You have to go to configure ABD manager. You can see I have already virtual devices, but I'm going to create a new one. I want to use this phone. And you can choose, of course, the version of the Android for your devices. Okay. I want to use the Q environment. I'm going to add a name. And I'm going to start it. Now I can close this one, and I'm going to create a new Flutter project. New Flutter. I'm going to add the name, create a name, Tech Talk. I'm going to choose the place. So now I'm going to explain what is happening. Okay, I guess we are done with the creation. So I'm going to define I'm going to explain what package does. We have here the Android package. This is a Kotlin project. Of course, it's using to deploy your application in Android devices. I suggest you never change anything inside of this folder. Sometimes, rarely, we can add a permission or icon or different asset, but normally we are never going to touch this package. Okay. We have here the iOS package. This is used for iOS devices, and it's a Swift project. Okay. As I mentioned before, and it's the same for this one. Do not touch or modify anything here. At least you need some special permission, or you're going to add some asset or an image. Okay. I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to explain later. Okay. Here we have the root of our project. Here we are going to create the Dart file. Okay. Of course, we have the test package, the git ignore, the metadata fail. Please don't touch this. Even this, no, these two. Don't touch this. And we have, this is a very important one, the YAML. This file is, we can use it to configure, to add dependencies, to add images, to add font. We can configure our application here. We can compare this file as a POM from Maven project, because here we can configure different things in our application. Okay. So I'm going to explain now the main Dart. Okay, Flutter. When you execute your application in Flutter, Flutter is going to look for this class called main.dart, and then it's going to looking for the main method in order to execute your application. But this main Dart, for good Flutter practice, is used to configure your application. Okay. So normally here we can add the different, customize our application with different theme names, etc. Okay. So let's continue. Run apps is waiting for a widget, and a widget, my app that does not exist, so I'm going to create it. We have now the class, but it's still failing because this is not a widget. How we can do that? We have to extend from Stateless Widget. Remember the widget type? Okay, we are going to use the Stateless Widget. Why Stateless Widget? Because the configuration never changes in real time, in running time. So that's why we are using the Stateless Widget. But now it's failing because we are missing the overrides. This method is going to be called by Flutter in order to display or configure your application. Okay, so build is going to be your application, but we are going to use the build context. Okay, remember the build context that I mentioned in the presentation, that object has the state of your application. So every single file, every single widget that we are going to use in this application, it has to use the build method. So let's configure. This method return a widget. So we have to return a widget. Return. In this particular project, I'm going to use materials, app. Okay. It's a widget. And I'm going to save it, and I'm going to deploy it. Let's see what is happening. The first time that we deploy the application is going to take a lot of time, because it's compiling, it's creating the APK, and then it's going to move that file in the devices, and it's going to deploy the application. Okay, so let's give it a minute. Not a minute, but let's give it a while. Okay, now it's installing the APK. And there we go. It's failing. Why is failing? Because we haven't configured this yet. Let's configure that. If you move over the mouse, you can see the different attribute that Material app has. It's not requirement. It's not required to use everyone, but we are going to use the title. Title receive an string. So check talk. I'm going to save. Probably the application is going to deploy, but it's failing because we are not finished with the configuration. And we are going to define the team, and team receive the team data is a widget. If you can see, receive a team data here. So I'm going to use the team data. Okay. And team data is a widget. It had a lot of attributes, but it's not required to use everyone. We are going to use the primary color. Primary color is an attribute and receive a color. And Flutter already provides the colors as a static class. We are going to use the red one. Okay. Is still failing the application? Okay. Because we have to define the root of our application. To do that, I'm going to create the initial root, and it receives a string. I'm going to add here home. But he don't know what is home. He's looking for the root, but we haven't defined the root yet. So before of that, we have to create the root. So let's go to the leaf. And I'm going to create the home underscore page dart. Okay. Do it too. In this exercise, we want to modify a number. We need to use a stateful widget. Do you remember why? Because we need to refresh this. We are going to change the state of that layout. So state. Sorry. Let me rename this. There we go. I'm going to use a snippet, okay? I'm going to explain what is going on here. I don't need this by the moment. And I'm going to explain what is this. I'm going to rename some things. Okay. We don't need this anymore. So we need the import. Important thing about the import, as you can see here, we have Cupertino, Material, and Widget. Okay, import. We are going to use Material. Why? When we deploy our application in Android devices, the style is going to look like it's going to use the Material design provided by Google. But if I deploy the same application in iOS devices, it's going to use the Cupertino style. If I use the Cupertino as an import, Android is going to use the Cupertino style. But I don't want that. By the moment, we are going to use Material, okay? So what is this? We have the stateful widget here, and it's creating this method calling this state. Why? Because Flutter needs to know about the state of your application. It's need to use that. To do that, we are going to use the state, this state. And when something changes in that widget, it's going to refresh the state of your application. Okay? That's why we are going to use this one. This is only for a stateful widget. Okay? So we already have the stateful widget as a home page. So I'm going to define now the root. We have the attribute called root. and it receives a maps. I'm going to define here home, that is the key, and I'm going to define what page we are going to use for that route. Okay. So basically, we are returning the web page. But we can do this better. We are going to use this way. And there we go. Okay, but now this is still failing. Why is it still failing? Because we haven't defined the parent of the widget in that display. Do you remember the scaffold that I mentioned before? Okay, we are going to use it right now. Scaffold. I'm going to save. And there you go. No errors. We have a beautiful white the page here in our application, but we are going to change that. How we can do that? Let's look at the different attribute. Remember, we have a lot of attributes here, and it's not required to use it at all. But I am going to use the app bar. Remember the example in the presentation? We are going to use it. But app bar receive a preference size widget, but Flutter already provides an implementation of that interface called app bar. And I'm going to save, and there you go. We have a beautiful app bar right now. On top, why red? We can change the color if we want, but remember our main theme, our main color is a red. I can change it, and now it's blue. Is that easy? But I want to use the red one, okay? Let's see the app bar. We had a lot of attributes, but I'm going to use the title. Title receive a widget. So here we cannot use a string, okay? We have to define a widget like a text, for example. Text is a widget. Let's see the attribute. We have different attribute that is not required to use. I'm going to add this message. And there you go. You have the title in the app bar. Is that easy? Let's add some body here inside. The body is belong to in the scaffold, okay? So scaffold has an attribute called body, and it receives a widget. We are going to use the text, okay? And there you go. We have the body. But let's center this body, okay? We are going to use a widget called center. And that widget has an attribute called child, and it receives a widget. So we can use it here, child. I'm going to use this. And there you go. Now it's centered. That is that simple. It's that simple. So I'm going to remove that tag in top. Okay. To do that, we have to disable this in the configuration. And there you go. Has gone. So we are going to create a button, and when we press that button, a number is going to change, okay, or increase. So I'm going to add here your number is, and I'm going to define a variable here, int underscore, it's mean private in Flutter, okay? And I'm going to use this here. Your number is 0. But I really want to separate this with the message and the number, okay? So to do that, we can use something called column. Column is a widget. Okay? And column has an attribute called children's, and it's a list of widgets. So children's, and I'm going to move this to here. Okay. And it's failing. I guess I am missing. There you go. So I'm going to use this twice, but I want in the top the message, and in the bottom I would like the number. Okay, but it's not in the center. I mean, it's in the center, but it's on top. What is the problem? The problem is the column began in the start of the on top. Okay, so we can change that using this attribute called main axis alignment. By default, is using main axis alignment start. So we are going to use that main alignment, but in the center. And there you go. We already have 2 texts there. We can separate it if you want more. Let's give it some style. What is the problem? Sorry. Width. There you go. So now I increase the height of those elements. Okay. Now I am going to add a button, a floating button. A scaffold already has the floating button defined here, so we have to use it. So a scaffold here, floating button, and floating action button receive a widget. But Flutter already provides a floating action button that we can use. There you go. I'm going to save, and there you go. There is. We have a blue button in the bottom, and we just created. It's not working right now because by default the action is null. I am going to add an icon, okay? To do that, we have the different attribute. I'm going to use the child, and child receive a widget. I am going to use an icon. Icon receive an asset, like add, like this one. And there you go. We have the sign in the button. Now we are going to provide an action to this button. So what we want to do is when we press this button, we are going to increase the number, and that should be refresh the display. Okay. I want to change the color. I don't like this color. So let's see. We have something called background colors, and it receives a color. Great. Background color. background color, yeah. And ref see a color. Red. And there you go. It's that simple. It's that simple. So let's continue with this, with the action. When someone press this button, I want increase this number. Okay? Okay? But it looks like it's not working. Let's see, let's add a logger, okay? And see what is happening, okay? So I'm going to save this. But you can see the number has changed. So that means this is working, but we never refresh, we never update the state of our application. Let's see if this is working. So I'm going to press the number. And you can see the logger. So this button is working. But we have to update the state. To do that, and remember, we are using the stateful widget, we can use the set state method. We are going to move this code here. I am going to save. And now I'm going to press, and it's going to change immediately. It's that simple. It's super simple. Let's try to add a decrease button, okay? So to do that, we can use the same floating button, right? But how can we add a new button in the same place? Remember the column? I'm going to add a column. Okay. Column has an attribute called children's. Remember that? And it receives widget, like this one. Oh, wow. Where is the button right now? It's on top. Remember what is the default behavior of the column? It's going to start. It's going to begin in the start on top. So we are going to change that using this attribute. Main action. Now that is ugly. Now there we go. And we want another button in order to decrease this. So we have this floating, okay. And I'm going to add, it's the same one. This is the same one, okay. I'm going to copy this code here. And now we have two buttons, but let's change this to yellow. No, that's awful. To black. Okay, and this is going to decrease the number. Okay, and let's change the icon. We are going to use like redo. Yeah, I'm going to separate this widget because I don't like how it looks like. We can use the size box. It's a useful widget for get get dimension and separate the things. Okay. And there you go. Let's see if this is working. So this one is, yeah, it's working. And the other one is working too. Let's add dependency, because I would like to show a message, a simple message, a toast. In Android, the message in the bottom, you can use, is called toast. So to do that, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to copy these dependencies. Sorry, I don't know if I show you this, but Flutter has a dependency webpage where you can find different dependencies for your application. So these dependencies is used to use the authentication with Firebase. So here you can find how to add it. You just need to copy this, and your IDE automatically is going to execute this in order to download the dependency. And then you just need to import. The cool thing is you can find example here. And of course, you can find more example in Stack Overflow or in Medium. Okay. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to save. And my IDE is downloading that dependency. Okay. There you go. When we modify something in that file, we should make a hot restart. Okay. Okay, we want to use that dependency here. I don't want to use this logger anymore. Let's use the dependency Flutter toast show toast, and the message receive a string. You increase the number. Okay, are we going to use this? And here you decrease the number, and let's see how it's working right now. Oh, it's failing at the toast channel. Okay, what's happening here? Sorry, I guess I need to stop the application. I'm going to restart the application. Yeah, Flutter toast message. Yeah, let's try again. But by the moment, this is a simple way to develop a Flutter application. It's that simple. The hardest part of this is you have to know the old widget that Flutter provides, but it's just practice. Let's see if this is working. Now, okay, now it's working. You can see when I press this button, a toast appears here, and the other toast appear here. So that is the presentation. Before to continue with the question section, I would like to show you my personal application. I've been working in this, and probably you are going to be interested in this. I'm going to deploy my application. I'm going to explain that this application is using Flutter, and of course is using Firebase. So my application, that application is using the authentication service, where you can use, you can create user, of course. I am using the cloud Firebase. This is awesome because this database works like a stream data. When you add data and another service is consuming that with a specific query, that data is streamed into your application, and that is awesome. Of course, you have the real-time database. I am using it for say different things. Okay. Storage I am using to consume the. Here I am saving the different photo. So let me show you if this application is here. Oh yeah, this is my application. Welcome. I am going to register, creating a name, Daniel. Okay. A simple email. The password, of course. Please don't tell anyone my password. And this thing is awesome because I am using the Google Maps service. When I click it here, I'm going to reference a place in the world. Okay. And it's using the Google Maps service. So I'm going to create the user. And now it's connecting with Flutter, pardon me, with Firebase. And this application is kind of a market, like Facebook market, but it's only for your neighborhood. So it's going to show you the nearby publication, the near publication. So I'm going to create a product because I want to sell my, I don't know, I would like to sell my cat. Cat. It's an expensive cat. Just selling my cat. And I'm going to save this. It's requiring for location because I am getting the latitude and longitude in this part of the application. And this application should be displayed on other devices, not in mine. My products are here. Okay. If you can see the detail of that TV, for example, this publication, and you can contact the other person. So I have implemented a chat. And the other person is going to receive that message. This is still in working, but it's my personal project. So we are done with this application. I appreciate your question. If you have any question, any suggestion, any comment, you are free to say it.
I have one.
Hey, Nacho, give me a second, please. I can hear you. Tell me.
Sorry, I have a problem with my TV. Okay, my question is, you started the presentation talking about a startup example where they have two developers, right? One for Android, one for iOS. And you say that maybe using an hybrid developer will be better in the economical way for them, right? And using Flutter as a tool for having just one developer and that can build one application on different environments. So my question is, do you think that a developer that has the knowledge to program with Dart and also use Flutter, and I understand that that's not enough. You need to also know something about iOS and Xcode and also Android Studio. Do you think that it's going to be cheaper than having just a regular Android developer in iOS?
Okay, yeah. That is a really good question, because my experiences in that experiences was a we don't have time to we need to develop this quickly. We had I remember this was like 8 years ago. Android was rising, and iOS was rising as well. Uh, um, and we thought in that moment probably it's better to have an hybrid technology to develop an application in that moment, because we felt that we felt that we need to make this quickly, because actually that startup has died. I mean, died. We we finished the application, but we got different issue according when you began a startup. Okay, but we try again. We 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 tried again, and I was the only one developer. And we thought, oh man, we need to use an hybrid mobile framework, because the COE, he doesn't have a lot of money. He doesn't have money to pay another developer. So my experience is for a basic for a new startup. If you are a beginning in the startup world, probably it's faster if you learn this kind of technology. Actually, I learned this technology because I would like to create just something. But I thought, oh man, I don't know how to develop in iOS. I don't remember a lot of Android. I was starting. I returned my studying in Android. Okay, but I thought, man, I don't have time. I need to do this quickly. Uh, okay, I'm going to try with an hybrid mobile framework. Then I thought, oh man, I need a server. I need a database. I need this and this. It was like, no, man, I don't have time. I don't have money to pay another person to do this. Okay, I want to try to learn a new technology with a service as a service as a pay. Give me a second. Yeah, backend as a service. Yeah, and that's why I learned Flutter, because it was fast. But I don't. I guess is the if something choose or a company choose a Flutter developer instead of an Android and iOS, it's because they want to save money, or because they want to do this quickly, because you can do this quickly with that technology. This is my personal opinion, but I don't know. It's going to depend. I hope this comment help you with your question.
Sure. Uh,
In fact, I've been with it as well, and it's pretty neat how you can just connect any device, iOS or Android, and you just tell it to run and hot reload, and it just knows where it needs to put it. You don't need to think about the setup on Android Studio or Xcode at all.
I have another question regarding Flutter. The project result, it's converted to native Swift or Java for Android, or it's an independent packages. I'm asking this because I'm wondering if it's possible, if the company evolves and grows, is it possible to continue that project natively in iOS using Swift, or you still need to work on Flutter and rebuild the whole project on iOS?
That is a very good question, because I look into the project. Let me, because I had the same question. But if you look into the Android project, you are not going to find a Kotlin code. It's kind of crazy, but I am not really sure about that, because I mean, this is the Android package, and you only can see that class. I never created this class and this Kotlin class, and that's it in Android Studio. So probably, I mean, in Android package. So probably what is happening is, in running time, is compiling, is generating the class to be consumed by the Android APK, you know. But it's kind of crazy. That was a very good question, but I think it's not. I think you can't. I think you can't, because it's yeah. Sorry, John. Export. Mm. No. Don't. Thank you for your comment.
Well,
Another question.
I was gonna say, like, the compiler in the end is C, and Android native is actually C, even though we program in Kotlin or Java. So in the end, you end up with that type of performance. It has its own compiler. It's not like it's transpiling to Java or Kotlin. It's directly going to the native.
Yeah. But the Ignacio's question was very interesting, because I never thought in that question, because probably I don't know, the Flutter developer just leave, and the company get an Android developer. So the question was, hey, can we continue only with the Android project? That is a very good question. It's kind of crazy. Again, you can, but probably you have to modify something in order to do that. But thank you, Nacho. Thank you, John. Thank you, Fede.
I have another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. My next question is about 1 second. Sorry, I just forget it.
Any questions?
Oh yeah. Sorry. I just remembered it, because I was thinking about it for a while, and it's how much time it takes Flutter to update for the next version of the libraries for iOS and Android. It's something that happens very soon, in a few months, or?
Yeah, actually, I was really nervous today, because Flutter is getting update constantly and very often. And what I said, I was very nervous because last week I was practicing my presentation, and I got an Flutter actualization, and things changed, but not a big one, you know. but yeah, it's kind of crazy because this technology has future because it was created by Google, and Google always try to push hard with the different technology, and because I was thinking in the last Tech Talk presentation, the React, how the computation of the Flutter and the React, and in general with the different hybrid technology. We have Ionic, we have Xamarin, we have Flutter, we have React, we have a lot of hybrid technology, and I guess I remember in my old job in Chile, I heard about Flutter the first time, and he said, "Amen, Flutter is the future." Why the future? In that moment I didn't know, but probably Flutter is a very good technology because it's easy to use, and it has that integration with Firebase. Of course, you have to pay in order to use Firebase, but I guess this technology has future, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Just well, my question was more aiming on the time between iOS release, for example. Every year, Apple release a new version of iOS,
Mm-hmm.
and how much time it takes to Flutter to get those new features.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I have a comment about that. I really don't know. Probably we are almost to the version 2 of Flutter. Probably that is going to include the new feature of the iOS 14, for example. But if you think about it, now we have Flutter satisfies the basic feature of your developer. Camera, GPS, list, display, login, authentication. But if I mentioned to John in other conversation that let's guess that the new release of iOS make an iPhone can jump, for example, the ability to jump, for example. That feature, yeah, probably the next version of Flutter is going to cover that, but how many people is going to use that feature? That is my personal opinion. But yeah, for your question is yes. I guess it's kind of 1 month, 2, 3 or months to release a new Flutter release with a new feature from iOS or Android in general.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Ignacio.
Quick question. How useful? Sorry, hi Marcelo. How useful is Flutter regarding publishing your application to Play Store or Apple Marketplace?
Okay, I didn't explain that because it's a very good question, because if you want to publish your application for Android, you have to do the step for Android. Let's guess this is just an Android project, and to do that, you have to, for example, I don't remember very well, but let's guess you have to modify something here in graded property. Let's guess, and then you have to execute a Flutter command in order to get the final APK, and then you have to go to the Android console in the Google web page. And then you have to upload your APK. But basically, we are generating a compressed file. This, in order to create this a release, is the same step if you are developing for an original Android project, and it's the same for iOS. You have to get the credential from Apple. You have to pay for that. You have to execute different commands from Xcode in order to generate the compressed file. You have to go to the Apple web page and upload your. The process to generate a release is the same if you are using original Android devices. Because let's guess this project I just want to publish for Android. I am not interested to publish this in iOS. So I have to execute the step for Android releases, you know.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Any question? Okay, so far so good. Thank you very much. Let me before end of in this presentation, it's a very good technology. You just need time to learn the widget, but it's very easy to use this technology. I really recommend this technology for you if you have planned to develop a fast and hybrid application. Okay. So thank you very much. Thank you very much to everyone to be here.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marcelo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you to everyone.